I thought I was having a heart attack, but my family thought their dinner party was more important. White ceiling, white walls, white blanket. Everything in the hospital room was white except for the clear liquid dripping into my arm through the IV tube. The heart monitor beeped steadily beside my bed, reminding me I was still alive. My name is Ashley Jackson. I'm 29 years old, and I work as a UX designer in San Francisco. 3 hours ago, I thought I was going to die. The pain hit me without warning. First, my chest felt tight, like someone was squeezing my heart. Then came sharp pain, as if someone was trying to tear my ribs apart from the inside. I couldn't breathe. My left arm went numb, and cold sweat soaked through my shirt. With shaking hands, I grabbed my phone and called the number I knew by heart. The phone rang forever before someone answered. "Dad!" My voice was barely a whisper. "Ashley? What is it?" My father. Marcus sounded annoyed. I could hear talking and music in the background. "Dad, I think I'm having a heart attack." I used all my strength to get those words out. Silence. Then I heard him tell my mother, Tanya, "It's Ashley. She says she's having a heart attack." Back to the phone. "Ashley, are you sure? You're only 29. Don't scare yourself over nothing." I called 911. "I'm going to the hospital right now." The pain made my words come out broken. Another pause. I could picture my father frowning, annoyed that his weekend plans were being interrupted. Okay, he finally said, with no concern in his voice, only irritation. "We have plans right now. We're about to leave for an important dinner party. We'll call you later. Just let the doctors check you out first. We have plans. We'll call you later." The line went dead. Those words, "We will call you later," pierced my heart like an ice pick, cutting deeper than the physical agony in my chest. As I lay there in that bouncing ambulance, watching the city lights streak past the window in reverse, I felt a bone-deep loneliness unlike anything I had ever experienced before. Now here I was, lying on an observation bed in the emergency room. After a comprehensive battery of tests, the doctor informed me that this had not been a typical heart attack, but rather Takotsubo cardiomyopathy, also known as broken heart syndrome. It was a condition triggered by extreme emotional or physical stress that caused the heart to malfunction. Combined with my chronic overwork, my body had reached a state of severe burnout. "Your heart has experienced something akin to severe trauma, Miss Jackson," said Dr. Chen, studying my test results with a grave expression. "You need to immediately stop whatever you are doing to your body, or next time, you might not be lying here having this conversation." I nodded, my throat feeling parched and raw. The nurse helped me remove most of the monitoring equipment, leaving only the intravenous drip. She explained that I would need to remain under observation for 24 hours. The vast hospital room felt empty, except for me and that machine that continued its steady beeping. I picked up my phone, and the screen illuminated. No missed calls. No unread messages. My family, 2 full hours after I had reported what could have been a fatal heart attack, had not bothered to contact me even once. Almost without thinking, I opened Instagram. The first story that appeared was one posted by my mother, Tanya. The image showed an infinity pool at what was clearly an expensive resort, with the setting sun painting the sky in brilliant shades of orange and red. My father, Marcus, was wearing a casual linen shirt, while my mother, Tanya, was dressed in a flowing sundress and wide-brimmed hat. Both were holding champagne flutes and beaming at the camera. My brother Michael and sister Sophie were there too, nestled close to our parents, the entire family looking picture-perfect and radiantly happy. Below the photo, Tanya had written in her favorite decorative script, "Family time is everything." The timestamp read 58 minutes ago. I stared at that photograph, fixated on that bright red heart emoji. The pain in my chest, which had just begun to subside, seemed to start throbbing again with a dull ache. So this was what my father had meant by their important plans. My family time consisted of lying alone on a cold hospital bed, listening to the rhythmic beeping of medical equipment. Their family time was clinking glasses poolside with the caption, "Family is everything," beneath their smiling faces. In that moment, something more piercing than physical pain, something deeper than loneliness, seized hold of me. It was the absurdity of it all, finally becoming crystal clear. I began to laugh, first silently, then louder and louder, until it transformed into something that mixed laughter with tears, nearly hysterical sobbing. For the past 3 years, I had functioned like a precision ATM machine, maintaining the perfect family facade that appeared in those Instagram photos. My mobile banking app contained a record of every single transaction. I opened it now, my fingertips sliding across the cold screen as one shocking number after another appeared before my eyes. Every first of the month, without fail, $3,500 transferred to a joint account belonging to Marcus and Tanya Jackson. The memo line always read, "Living support." 3 years, 36 months, a grand total of $126,000. This arrangement had begun 3 years ago when I landed my current position. My annual salary had jumped to $150,000, which was quite respectable even by Silicon Valley standards. During one of our family dinners, my mother Tanya had casually mentioned that my father's consulting business was struggling, and they were beginning to feel the financial pressure of retirement looming ahead. "Ashley, you have become the most successful child in this family," she said, taking my hand in hers. Her voice was filled with pride, but her eyes held an expectant gleam that brooked no refusal. "We are so proud of you, and of course, it is time for you to shoulder some of the family responsibilities." This kind of emotional manipulation, wrapped in love and guilt, had been the most familiar script of my entire childhood. I agreed to their request. After all, I was the good daughter, and good daughters were supposed to give back to their families. But the support for my parents was not the only major expense. At the beginning of each semester, $18,500 was transferred directly to the California College of the Arts. The recipient was listed as Sophie Jackson, and the memo read, "Tuition." Sophie was the family's precious baby, a talented young artist pursuing her creative dreams. When she received her acceptance letter, the entire family celebrated her achievement. When she looked at the intimidating tuition bill with despair, every pair of eyes in the family turned expectantly toward me. "Ashley, I really want to go," she said, tugging at my sleeve with tears glistening in her eyes like a pitiful deer. "Ashley, supporting your sister's dreams is your responsibility," my father declared in that tone of his that never allowed for argument. And so I paid her complete tuition and fees for the past 2 years, totaling $74,000. Add to that the art supplies, computer equipment, and travel expenses for her sketching trips that I had covered along the way, and the sum had long since exceeded $80,000. I quickly punched numbers into my phone's calculator. $126,000 for my parents, plus $80,000 for Sophie, equaled $206,000. My finger paused above the screen. This number was even higher than my vague memories had suggested. Over the course of 3 years, I had extracted more than $200,000 from my after-tax income to support my family members. To earn enough money to cover these expenses, I had worked frantically, taking on freelance projects, sacrificing all personal time and social relationships. My boss had warned me more than once about the importance of rest, but I dared not slow down. Because I knew that the moment my income decreased, my mother Tanya's phone calls would arrive right on schedule. Ashley, sweetheart, this month's living allowance seems to be running late. Your father is almost out of his favorite cigars, and we have plans to meet friends for wine tasting in Napa Valley. Are you having trouble at work? Oh my goodness, you absolutely cannot lose this job. Our whole family is counting on you. These words were like invisible chains that bound me tightly to the treadmill of constant money-making. And what about my brother Michael? In the very same month that I began sending that first payment to my parents, Michael announced that he was quitting his job to start his own company. He had an app idea that would change the world. My father, Marcus, immediately declared his complete support for this venture. I remember that afternoon clearly. We were at a backyard barbecue at my parents' house, and my father stood with his hand on Michael's shoulder, announcing to all the relatives and friends present, "My son has vision and courage. I am investing $250,000 in his startup. This is just the beginning." $250,000. That figure hit me like a bullet. At the time, I was hesitating over whether to spend $2,000 on a new MacBook Pro because I needed to save money for Sophie's next semester tuition. Later, I learned that not only had my father invested his own money, but he had also used his network of connections to secure another $500,000 in angel funding for Michael's company. Michael's business was set up in the most prestigious office building downtown, and he became a rising entrepreneurial star in the Bay Area, the absolute center of attention at every family gathering. I had once entertained thoughts of starting my own business as well. I had developed a concept for improving digital product experiences for elderly users, complete with detailed business plans and working prototypes. When I carefully approached my father about the idea, he did not even finish reading through my proposal. "Start a business, Ashley? That would be far too risky for you," he said, shaking his head as if he were correcting a child who did not understand the world. "You are a woman with a stable, high-paying job, and that should be enough. Do not go chasing after these impractical dreams. Focus your energy on your career and your family obligations." Too risky. Those words had echoed in my ears ever since that day. Giving his son $250,000 in real money to chase his dreams was visionary. When his daughter wanted to use her professional expertise to attempt something similar, it was too risky. I realized then that in their eyes, my value was simply to function as a reliable, steady money-printing machine, supporting one man's dreams and one girl's dreams. My own dreams were worthless. That Instagram photo with its caption, "Family time is everything," now seemed impossibly ironic. I closed my phone and shut my eyes. The steady beeping of the heart monitor felt like a countdown timer for the absurd life I had been living for the past 3 years. On the day of my discharge, San Francisco was blessed with one of its rare sunny days. The sunlight was so bright, it made my eyes water. Instead of going home, I took a taxi directly to a coffee shop. The doctor's words were still echoing in my mind. Chronic stress is the primary cause. Your body has been in constant fight-or-flight mode, and this was its way of sending you a final warning. I settled into a corner table at the coffee shop, ordered a black coffee, and opened my laptop computer. It was time for a final accounting. I logged into my bank account and exported all transaction records from the past 3 years. I opened Excel and approached this task like a work project, calmly and precisely marking every expense related to my family members. Living allowance for my parents, $126,000. Sophie's tuition and living expenses, $83,215. Paying for Michael's company celebration dinner, $2,800. Venue costs for my father's 60th birthday party, $7,500. Sponsoring one of my mother's European trips, $5,000. The list went on and on. I added up all the marked figures. Finally, a number appeared in the bottom right corner of my screen. $224,515. $224,515. I stared at that number and felt all the blood in my body turn cold. This amount of money would have been enough for a down payment on an apartment, enough to start my own company without any financial worries. Instead, I had used it to maintain a false family illusion. I took a deep breath and dialed my mother's number. "Ashley, you finally called. You have no idea how worried we have been about you." Tanya's voice carried its usual dramatic concern. "I have been discharged from the hospital," I said calmly. "Oh, that is wonderful news. What did the doctor say? Nothing serious, I hope?" she asked rapidly, then switched topics without waiting for my answer. "By the way, we are having a family meeting this weekend at the house, and you absolutely must attend. It is about your brother's company and their next round of funding, plus Sophie's graduation exhibition. We need to make some plans." "Fine," I agreed. Sunday afternoon, I arrived at my parents' house right on time. Everyone was gathered in the living room. My father Marcus sat in his designated armchair, reading the Wall Street Journal. My mother Tanya was directing the housekeeper in arranging refreshments. Michael was on the phone, enthusiastically discussing user growth and market valuation. Sophie was fiddling with her new camera, the one I had just bought for her the previous month. It was a picture of perfect domestic harmony, as if my hospitalization had never happened. "Ashley, you made it!" my mother called, gesturing for me to sit down. "You do not look very well. Are you working too hard? I have always said that women should not push themselves so relentlessly." Instead of sitting, I remained standing and pulled a document from my bag, placing it on the coffee table. It was a printed copy of my Excel spreadsheet. "What is this?" my father asked, setting down his newspaper and furrowing his brow. "This is a record of every dollar I have given to this family over the past 3 years," I said. My voice was not loud, but it carried clearly to every person in the room. "The total comes to $224,515. The living room fell instantly silent. Michael ended his phone call. Sophie stopped playing with her camera, every pair of eyes focused on that piece of paper. "Ashley, what exactly are you trying to say?" Tanya's expression changed, her voice taking on a sharp edge. "Are you trying to settle accounts with us? We are your family." "I am simply stating a fact," I said, turning toward my father. "Dad, this amount of money is almost exactly what you gave Michael for his startup capital. You told me that my business idea was too risky, but you have been perfectly comfortable spending my money to support Michael's dreams and Sophie's dreams. Was my money not risky?" Marcus's face turned a deep shade of red. "This is completely different. Michael is a man. He needs to build a career and support others. You are a woman, and your money should naturally contribute to the family. That is how things work." This shameless statement finally shattered the last remaining illusion in my heart. "Starting today," I said, pronouncing each word clearly and deliberately, "I will not transfer another cent to this family. No monthly living allowance, no tuition payments, nothing at all." "You would not dare!" Tanya shrieked, launching into her signature emotional manipulation. "Ashley, how can you be so selfish? Have you forgotten how we raised you? Have you forgotten who took care of you when you were sick as a child? You are going to destroy us." "I have not forgotten any of that," I said, looking at her calmly. "But what I remember even more clearly is that when I was possibly having a heart attack and lying in the emergency room, you were at a resort posting Instagram photos celebrating your family time. So please, do not talk to me about family anymore." I picked up my bag and turned to leave. "You will regret this, Ashley!" my father shouted behind me. "You will regret treating your family this way." I did not turn around. As I walked through that door, I felt a freedom I had never experienced before. I knew that a war was about to begin. The battle drums began beating within 24 hours of my cutting off their funding. The first wave of attack came in the form of telephone bombardment. Starting Monday morning, my phone never stopped vibrating. My mother, Tanya, called every 30 minutes. Initially, her calls were filled with tears and curses, calling me an ungrateful, cold-hearted daughter. When she discovered that I remained unmoved, her strategy shifted to pleading, explaining that she had already made spa appointments with friends for the following week, and if I did not restore funding, she would be terribly embarrassed. My father Marcus's calls were full of threats and commands. He demanded that I immediately resume the transfers and apologize for my inappropriate behavior. "Ashley Jackson, I am ordering you to send that money right now. Do not force me to use my authority as your father to make you comply." Each time a call came through, I simply responded calmly with, "I will not be sending any more money," then hung up. Next came Sophie. Her text messages arrived one after another. "Sis, my new project requires a 3D printer, about $3,000. When would be convenient for you to transfer it to me?" "Sis, did you see my message?" "Ashley, what do you mean? Mom says you are not paying my tuition anymore? What about my graduation project? Do you want to ruin my future?" "I hate you. You are just jealous that I am more talented than you." Finally, there was Michael. He did not call, but instead sent a long email with the subject line, "A rational discussion about family responsibilities." In his message, he positioned himself as a successful entrepreneur and condescendingly educated me from that perspective. He described my behavior as emotional and immature and claimed it would destroy the long-term stable structure of the family. He suggested that I seek psychological counseling to address my stress and insecurity, rather than taking this extreme approach that hurts family members. Most ridiculously, he concluded his email by writing, "We are family, Ashley. When my company goes public, I will not forget you. But right now, you need to continue fulfilling your responsibilities." I blocked all of their phone numbers and email addresses. The world became peaceful. But they clearly were not ready to give up. The second wave of their assault was a social media campaign. My mother, Tanya, posted a photo on both her Facebook and Instagram accounts. It was a picture of our family from my college graduation, showing me with a radiant smile. The accompanying text was heartbroken. "I do not understand why our daughter, whom we are most proud of, has suddenly become so cold and cruel. We have loved and supported her with our whole hearts, yet she has abandoned us when we need her most. We can only hope that she will find herself again and return to this family that loves her. Hashtag family, hashtag heartbroken mother, hashtag prayers." The post immediately attracted a flood of comments from relatives and family friends. "Tanya, do not be sad. Ashley is just going through a difficult phase." "My goodness, how could this happen? Ashley has always been such a good girl." "Young people these days are so selfish, they never consider their parents' feelings." Sophie posted a black screen on her Instagram story with white text that read, "My artistic career may be ending because I have been betrayed by the person closest to me." The public opinion war raged furiously. Soon my phone began receiving questioning text messages from distant relatives and family friends. My social media accounts were flooded with their righteous indignation. I did not reply to a single message. Silence was the most powerful weapon. When they realized that public pressure had no effect on me, The third and most intense wave of attack arrived: legal threats. A week later, I received a formal letter from a prominent law firm. In it, my parents, Marcus and Tanya Jackson, claimed that there existed a verbal support agreement between us and that my consistent transfer payments over the past 3 years constituted factual evidence of this agreement. They argued that my unilateral termination of the agreement was causing serious disruption to their lives. The letter demanded that I immediately resume monthly payments of $3,500 and make up for the current month's missed payment, or they would pursue legal action seeking enforcement. They had actually hired a lawyer. Looking at that sternly worded legal letter, I was so angry that I began to laugh. They thought this would intimidate me into submission, that I would meekly comply like the good daughter they could manipulate and exploit at will. They were wrong. The experience of working frantically to pay all those bills over the past 3 years had not only exhausted me physically and mentally, but had also made me far stronger than they imagined. I picked up my phone and made an appointment with a lawyer I had encountered in my professional work, someone known for handling challenging cases. Then I opened Reddit. I spent an entire evening writing a post, which I published on both the Amithi Asshole and Personal Finance subreddits. The title was Aita for Cutting Off My Family Financially After My Stress-Induced Heart Attack. Using the most calm and objective tone possible, I narrated everything that had happened. I wrote about my loneliness in the emergency room and that jarring Instagram photo of family time. I listed precise figures down to the cent. The total amount I had transferred to family members over 3 years was $224,515. I described how my father had given my brother $250,000 in startup capital and helped him raise an additional $500,000 while dismissing my entrepreneurial ideas as too risky. I included screenshots of my mother Tanya's heartbroken social media posts and photos of the threatening letter from their lawyer, with personal information redacted. I used no inflammatory language whatsoever, simply stating facts and presenting data. Numbers do not lie. I clicked the publish button, then closed my computer and went to bed. When I woke up the next morning, my post had exploded across the internet. Thousands of comments, tens of thousands of upvotes. Strangers from around the world poured into my post, expressing shock, outrage, and support. NTA, not the asshole. You are not their daughter. You are their ATM machine. This comment was voted to the top. $224,000? My God, that money could have transformed your entire life. Run as far as you can. Classic sexist family dynamics. The son is an investment. The daughter is an obligation. I feel so angry on your behalf. Send this post to their lawyer. It is called Stating Facts, and it is the best response to their ridiculous legal threats. That Instagram post is absolutely disgusting. The hypocrisy makes me sick. The tide of public opinion reversed instantly. My story was picked up and shared by various online media outlets and bloggers, with sensational headlines like Silicon Valley female designer bled dry by family for $200,000, hospitalized with broken heart syndrome while family vacations. After reviewing my post and all the supporting materials, my lawyer Laura said just one thing. Ashley, we are not just going to defend. We are going to counterattack. 3 days later, a cease and desist letter signed by Laura was sent to my parents' home, with copies to their attorney. The letter clearly stated, first, the alleged verbal support agreement had absolutely no legal foundation. My past payments were voluntary gifts that could be terminated at any time. Second, the accusations in the opposing lawyer's letter were completely groundless and constituted harassment. Third, the public statements made by my family members, particularly my mother Tanya and sister Sophie, on social media had caused defamation and reputational damage to me. Fourth, they were required to immediately cease all forms of contact and harassment, including phone calls, text messages, emails, and contact through third parties, and to delete all misleading and defamatory social media content related to me. Fifth, if the harassment and defamation continued, we reserved the right to file a lawsuit seeking damages for emotional distress. This strong legal response was like a precision-guided missile that completely destroyed their offensive campaign. After that, the world finally became completely quiet. Tanya deleted her Facebook post. Sophie's Instagram account became private. I never received another harassing phone call. I heard that their lawyer quickly terminated his representation after receiving our letter, probably realizing that this case was not only unwinnable, but would make them the laughingstock of the entire Bay Area. Free from those heavy shackles, I experienced true freedom for the first time. I quit the job that had been destroying my physical and mental health and used my remaining savings to rent a small space in a co-working facility. I pulled out that business plan that my father had dismissed as too risky and began refining it. Using the money that would have gone to my family's living expenses, I hired a freelance engineer to develop my product prototype. I named my company Connective Age, dedicating it to designing simple, user-friendly, dignified technology products for elderly people. Our first product was a simplified family communication tablet that would allow seniors unfamiliar with smart devices to easily video chat with family members and share photos. 6 months later, I presented my product at a small technology and venture capital summit. To my surprise, my presentation caught the attention of a prominent investor. She was a woman in her 50s who said my product reminded her of her own mother, who had struggled to learn how to use a smartphone to stay connected with her grandchildren. We talked for 2 hours. A week later, I secured $300,000 in seed funding. My career had finally begun. I never logged into my old Instagram account again, instead creating a new one for my company. This account documented our team working through the night, the joy of successful product testing, and the satisfied smiles on the faces of our first users, those white-haired elderly customers. My family never contacted me again, not even once. No apologies, no attempts at reconciliation. They simply vanished from my life completely, as if we had never known each other. Occasionally, I would see news about my brother Michael's company tucked away in the corners of technology publications, mostly negative reports about burning through their investment money and stagnant user growth. I would simply scroll past these articles calmly, feeling nothing whatsoever. One Friday evening, I finished my workday and walked out of the office. The setting sun cast its golden light across the streets of San Francisco, warm and gentle. I opened my phone and saw a message from my new boyfriend. "What would you like for dinner tonight? I made reservations at that restaurant you love." I smiled and texted back, "Sounds perfect. I will be right there." I looked up at this city full of infinite possibilities before me and breathed in the free air deeply. My chest no longer ached, and my heart beat steadily and strongly. It no longer broke for anyone else. It beat only for my own life, my own dreams, my own future.